Be here.
Well, hello and welcome back to 907 Sports, the return with Alaska's news source. I am Jordan Rodenberger.
And I am Tyler Lane, and this is where you can find us every single Wednesday, bringing you things like highlights, all the stories we can't fit into a regular newscast. We're going to bring it to you right here on 907 Sports.
Yeah, it could be full interviews, kind of what breaking down highlights, kind of whatever we may get to that we want to highlight and share with you guys weekly. And it's kind of the good timing of this time of year because we're kind of slowing down with those winter sports and kind of still waiting for those spring sports to get outside. So we got a little bit of time to chat it up with y'all.
Most definitely. And obviously this winter, not that best if you're a skier, if you're a snowboarder, things like that. But we still had plenty to get to, plenty that we were able to get through with those weather conditions, and plenty of those indoor sports that really had no effect. So a lot of those things to recap for you today.
Yeah, and throughout that winter we saw a lot of what we may call Alaska's state sports, and you can make a case for a number of them. And if you're watching live on YouTube, Facebook, wherever, I want you to comment down below what you think Alaska's state sport is and why. You could make a case for a lot of them, as I mentioned, and maybe globally, if you ask, like, made a poll around, you may say dog mushing, and that is certainly has a rich and important history in Alaska before there was ever any races, you know, transportation, goods, mail, and such like that. And now it has certainly become one of the most popular sports in the state for people in the lower 48 to follow along. And what a year we had for that. And it all started off with the first week of January when 17-year-old Emily Robinson won the Knik 200 for a second time, defeating a field of Iditarod mushers once again. She made history the next month by going 4 for 4 in the junior Iditarod, the first musher to ever do that, win 4 straight. Then the next month took on the historic Serum Run Trail for the 100th anniversary from her hometown in Nenana to Nome. So it was quite a few months for the Nenana musher, completing her journey throughout that, and that's going to be fun to see as she's expected to enter the big dog race of Iditarod within the next few years, maybe even as soon as next year. Other highlights from the mushing season, we saw Pete Kaiser remains the king of the Cusco once again, winning his record-tying 9th Kuskokwim 300 and 4th in a row. He certainly is well familiar with that and is definitely a fan favorite in that area, representing Bethel there. And of course, Louis, blow out your ears a little bit with that one, as the season capping off, of course, with Jesse Holmes winning his first Iditarod pretty convincingly in one of the longest Iditarods in race history, from Fairbanks to Nome. We also had a lot of great storylines from the Iditarod. That was fun for us to follow along and catch up with some of the mushers along the trail. So you can find those stories of some of those other mushers on alaskasnewssource.com. We got one more mushing race left this year for the kind of the season finale, the Kobuk 440, kicking off tomorrow at 12:30, and Jesse Holmes will be in it, so that'll be fun to see if he can't continue his great season and cap it off with that one there. Mushing, of course, one of, you can make a case for other Alaska state sports, so to speak.
I think Jesse Holmes specifically, when we were talking to him after that Iditarod, he said, the Kobuk, that's the one I'm really for, even more so than the Iditarod, so seeing him out there again is always going to be fun. But hey, going to an indoor sport this time, I think the hardwood hoops basketball, it makes its case as well, just with so many people, how many people take part in this sport. And we saw a lot of that in Q1, especially just over at March Madness Alaska. We're going to get that fixed for you here in just a second. There we go. As in March Madness Alaska, the 1 to 4A schools all bringing home titles that over the last month. You also got Alaskans at the higher levels with Alyssa Peely with her Minnesota Lynx. That always comes to mind. But then there's guys like JT Thor still in the G League. He was a part, as you remember, from that South Sudan Lorinda team in Paris last year. Savia Sellers is still doing her thing at Washington. And even here in the state, there's much to talk about. The UAA women brought home the GNAC title while we were actually out on the Iditarod Trail, capping it off with a solid postseason run in the West Region bracket. And soon they'll get some reinforcements from some of Alaska's best. You got Miley Anderson, Jennifer Nash, and Kira Baxter. All are signed to the program. And plus, coming in just this morning, they'll be adding India Clark, former Valley Star from D1's Warford. A nice pickup for a team that has just finished ranked 17th in Division II. So a lot of hoops action going on right now. And for those Seawolves, yeah,
it's super fun. And basketball, definitely one of those that brings all those communities together when you think of those 1A, 2A, tournaments for sure, and the conference tournaments from all around. Definitely one of the most popular sports and most participated sports for basketball there. And then another one you think of in the winter scene is, of course, skiing. And whether it's recreationally around just for fun on the trails, or we have our competitive high-level Olympic skiers like Gus Schumacher, who continued to have a great season. A career best in the World Championships. He had more podium finishes in the World Cup. Kendall Kramer, she's a future APU skier, just capped off her college career at UAF with a national championship, their first in the program's history, so she continues to do great things. And then going even a lower level to the youth, 16-year-old Jack Levesque, he's been crushing it all season at the junior national stage. This all coming after he won a state championship with Service, and he's so young and still doing his thing. And that's not to mention the others of like Murphy Kimball and Luke Jager, the Rosie Brennans, those that we're familiar with and continue to do great things. And then of course skiing, being so popular, you see the youngins with 2-3-year-olds, once they can start to walk, they get on the skis. So that's always fun there to see how participated skiing is, and that could definitely have its own case for Alaska state sport, between especially the well-represented in the Olympic at the highest level of the entire sport.
Yeah, and shout out to all those people this year that made, places like Kincaid and things like that skiable just for these athletes to even get out there. I mean, I remember when they sent me out there after the Lynx La Pet got canceled, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, how are they even going to take this again the rest of the year?
And still to see these performances, when they went out of state or out of the country to perform, they didn't lose a step, didn't lose a beat, incredible stuff from our skiers here once again.
Definitely, but one sport we haven't gotten to yet that I think is a staple, it's got to be hockey, right? And Scotty Gomez, a former Stanley Cup champion, a huge part of that with his foundation here in the Pond Hockey Classic, putting on another show at Big Lake. And I think it's safe to say that the Wolverines' move to the Sullivan has been a resounding success. I was just at their practice this morning talking to coaches and players. They all have loved that feeling of seeing the arena fill up. And for us, think about it, usually you could, last season find parking relatively easy
No.
at Ben Boki. Now, if it's 30 minutes out, we're lucky to be in the same parking lot. So just, it's incredible, and just especially we'll be seeing them more now as they're going to be moving into the NAHL playoffs here in just a little bit. And at the high school level, it's much of the same. I've seen some incredible crowds show up for these kids. Think back to that superhero night that we saw between West and Chugiak.
Yeah.
Here's West Anchorage winning the state title just a few months ago. Apologies to you, by the way. I know you were rooting for your West Valley guys, but hey, they just couldn't beat a truly spectacular team that was. And obviously here, the Gov Cup. We saw how close it was this year. UAA starting to claw back, but UAF still the dogs in this race right now, and just the program they have up there. In fact, Ushio from that Wolverines team will be joining them soon, and they're going to be getting a few more guys. So really right now, the state of Alaska hockey, truly incredible. And it's, for me, coming from out of state, I always think Alaska, I think hockey. At the end of the day, that is the sport. That is the one I think a lot of people outside of Alaska target and look to. So
definitely has a strong case there. And another sign of that, of hockey's case for Alaska State sport, is the support you see at the community level. Like when the UA Seawolves were eliminated, budget cuts, you saw the rally support around them. Anchorage finally gets a junior hockey team. You see people flooding in to get them, and then go to any UAF game. Oh my goodness, they're blue and gold throughout there.
Oh yeah.
And then you get, like I mentioned with skiing, like the second you can walk, a lot of them are skating now. So all these cases, and then throw out other ones as well. I think of like the Iron Dog Snow Machine Race. That doesn't happen anywhere else for sure as well. The WIO and NYO, the traditional native games. I mean, those have been played and were created well before some of these other sports, so that is a rich history in Alaska as well.
Mount Marathon.
Mount Marathon. We have some of the best mountain running trails and races. Mount Marathon, that's truly Alaskan. So got a good case for Alaska State sport, but I think that's the beauty of it, is that there are so many, and it is a versatile field as well for that. Yeah,
most definitely. I think just so far coming in here and covering all this different stuff that you just don't get anywhere else. I mean, in fact, I was just talking to a guy at that Wolverines practice today about that. Coming up here, the hockey scene here that he's used to, as someone that was out of state, this isn't something you see down there.
No.
And especially he was talking about the Wolverines and the crowd that you've got here. Just in that sport alone, you see the uniqueness that this state has.
Yeah.
And it's truly incredible.
If you're ever in Fairbanks during the hockey season, check out a Fairbanks Ice Dogs game at the Big Dipper. That's a perfect venue and perfect encapsulation of Alaska hockey as well. So, kind of a recap of the quarter one. We first 3 months out the way, a lot happened. We're not going to talk about everything, so we missed a lot on that. Which go check out the websites and all that to get up to date on that. As we now enter the spring sport season. We've been at the Dome a lot recently as soccer season kicks off, track practices and events happening in there. What are you looking forward to as we kind of enter this new chapter, spring sports, new season here?
I'm looking forward to soccer, especially just because we just saw that game between Diamond and South girls soccer, and how incredible that was. That could have gone either way. So those two looked truly incredible once again. But then we also saw some of the other teams on the boys' side, and we just saw what Diamond did to South, the reigning champs. So all of a sudden, you're starting to see those storylines build for what we're going to see in state. Obviously, track as well. You got the Fastest Alaskan coming up, so maybe another Alaskan sport, so to speak. On the individual side. So plenty to talk to and plenty to get to coming up that I'm just looking forward to.
Yes,
for sure.
And this will all be on 907 Sports each Wednesday as we move forward, talking more about this. This is kind of a return, a relaunch of it, so it'll be different formats of it as we go forward. With 907 Sports, which will be back every Wednesday, and we'll be pushing towards this. Our website, Facebook, YouTube, Roku's, Apple TV, the Amazon Fires, all those. I know in this day and age, you have at least one of those, someone out there, Facebook. Comment down below what maybe you want to see out of 907 Sports. And we always huge sport with a lot of talent, so we always want to hear from you guys about what's going on in your community as well, and maybe give them a highlight and a shout out there. But I think that may do it for 907 Sports this edition, Tyler.
Yeah, certainly. And hey, that's the joy of it, right? We got plenty more to come. So check us out every Wednesday. We'll be right here.
All righty. Thanks for checking in.